Hey, greetings, family. Welcome to the Coffee with the Doctors podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Chris.
And I'm Dr. Liesel.
Hey, and we shine a light on the powerful scholarship emerging from Michigan's practitioner scholars working in K-12 schools. In each episode, we sit down with educators, leaders, researchers whose work is shaping classrooms, guiding policy, and transforming communities.
So now is the time. Grab your coffee, settle in, and join us as we elevate the voices, ideas, and innovations driving Michigan's educational future. Hey, Chris, what's on the agenda today?
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. I'll start with a heads up on a cool article that I recently read. It's actually a report from Ed Trust Midwest, and it highlights key benefits of providing students with access to educators of color. And at the same time, the report notes that the state continues to struggle with recruiting and retaining these educators. Ed Trust outlines a range of potential solutions to address these challenges. And complementing this work are findings from the Wallace Foundation and indicates that school leaders play an outsized role in educator retention, further underscoring the importance of leaders of colors. To learn more about the role and impact of leaders of color in Michigan, we spoke to the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Kyron Harvell, a school leader of more than 2 decades, about his research and experiences within Michigan's educational institutions.
And we are so honored to have our friend, Dr. Kyron, here. He's the principal of Romulus High School, as well as a professor at Siena Heights University and Henry Ford Community College. The man does not sleep. We know
Mm-mm.
that. He is originally from Flint, Michigan,
Flint
Mhm.
Town.
and completed his doctorate in educational leadership at MSU. His research interests include barriers and supports for K-12 principals of color in Michigan. Specifically, he's interested in how principals of color resist, persist, and thrive in an oppressive educational system. He has served in the capacity of an urban K-12 principal for over 20 years, as well as 15 years as a professor in higher education. Kyron, welcome to the show.
Great to see you guys. Go green. Excited to be here.
Go
Looking forward
white.
to this discussion. So thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, so we got to start off with the hard-hitting questions. As you know, the name of the podcast is Coffee with the Doctors.
Sure.
So, Dr. Harvell, we want to ask you this. What kind of coffee do you prefer, Folgers or Fair Trade?
So, bro, I'm from Flint. I don't even know what fair trade is. So it has to be Folgers. I remember my parents had the Folgers coffee cans in the kitchen just lined up, and I don't even know what fair trade is. Is that like something new or what's that?
You, folks, you have whatever you needed to know about Dr. Harvell here. I thought you would know a little bit about fair trade as you lived in Ann Arbor for a brief stint. But I'm
I'm
sure
still
that's
here, bro, but I still don't know what it is. I go to Myers, I'm getting Folgers. I go to the gas station, I get coffee. I speed past Starbucks. I don't know about none of that stuff. So yeah, I don't can't even afford Starbucks. No. So Folgers.
All right, well, Coach, we're gonna go ahead and get into a couple of questions that we
All right.
have for you, and some of the work that you did. And so, the first part of how we want to organize the show is mainly going to be around just exploring the work that you did in your dissertation.
Mm.
So, we'll start off with a question about the persistent problem or dilemma that you aim to address or look into more deeply in your dissertation of practice.
So as you all, thank you again. Thank you guys for having me. As you previously mentioned, my dissertation was on, I looked at four principles of color in Michigan specifically to see how they resist, persist, and thrive in oppressive K-12 educational system. And we utilized Yoso's cultural wealth framework. So there's 6 assets within that. So primarily I was interested in what are the barriers and what do principals use to leverage in terms of assets to continue on in this role. So I want to see what the barriers are and how can we provide some types of support for principals in this role. This is very difficult. There's such a small percentage of principals of color in Michigan. And as
Mhm.
one, I know some of the things that I've gone through.
That's
I've
good.
seen things that my colleagues have gone through. So basically trying to provide resource because we are needed to see how we can be supportive. And once we identify the barriers, we can work towards eliminating them. But if we don't know what the barriers are, then we're just kind of stuck in this space, and we're just working and just burning out and just doing the work because we feel obligated, not because we're feeling a sense of purpose. And if people see us being burnt out, others are going to want to come into the field, and we need us in the field.
That's good. And you're kind of alluding to it at the beginning of the show. We kicked it off by um, talking about we talked about a report done by Ed
Mm-hmm.
Trust, and Ed Trust was kind of trying to draw attention to the fact that in the state of Michigan, in general, we have a issue with educators of color, whether they be administrators or teachers. Maybe I'm wondering if you could talk about, or if your research talks about, what the importance of these figures are to the communities and schools that they serve.
Well, the importance overall is just to help shape the narrative around
Mhm.
people of color in general. So our
Yeah.
society has a lot of myths and stereotypes around just people of color in general. And the research
Mhm.
shows that educators of color are not only beneficial for students of color, but also for white students as well. Currently
Mhm.
in the country, 53% of the students in the country in public K-12 public education are students of color, not private schools, not charter, but in K-12 education. Research also supports the notion that seeing someone that looks like you, or that you may have the perception has similar values and a background that can see themselves in you, that's going to, propel students or have students want to do better academically, do better in terms of their behavior. It's going to help them with their LCL skills, and not just black and brown students, but just all students benefit from seeing people of color, as well as the stories that could be shared, and just
Mhm.
shaping, I would say, deconstructing the myths around educators of color. That's why I think this work is so important. And once
That's
we really
awesome.
get to the root of that, we'll start seeing more educators of color come in. Because I think right now, many of them don't feel that they have a value because of the barriers that are there, how they are treated when they are in spaces, where the spaces are predominantly white or predominantly with other educators of color, just how they're treated and what the expectations are. So that's what the importance is for it.
That's awesome. Um, and Lisa, feel free to jump in. But before you jump in, a follow-up to that is,
Mm-hmm.
we've got we're at a fraught moment kind of in our nation's politics. We got some pretty divisive things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of thinking about policy can be a big mental exercise. But I'm wondering if there are any implications for the research that you did and policy. Are there things that senators, local representatives, representative, yeah, you get what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
should keep in mind as they're reading your dissertation?
It was interesting. We looked at utilized Yoso's cultural wealth framework, and there are
Hmm.
6 core assets within that. So there's social, familial, aspirational, linguistic, resistant, and navigational. Our top 3 were social, familial, and aspirational. Interestingly enough, financial did not come up at all. There was nothing about finances or money. It was more about how individuals feel that would keep them in the job. So I think in terms of legislation, we need to have more professional development opportunities. We need to have more supports. We need to have more grow your own programs. We need to provide more incentives and deconstruct education overall to make people of
Hmm.
color feel welcome to come into these systems. It's not about, because no one that I interviewed talked about, well, we need more money. I need to make this amount or that amount. That wasn't it. It
Mm.
was more factors about, like, you know, being able to navigate through the system was one of the
Wow.
main barriers. Linguistics. How do I code shift? When do I code shift? Do I feel bad about code shifting? What the toll that
Mm.
code shifting, having to constantly be in uh, a code shifting mode. Smokey Robinson has a song called Tears of a Clown, and he says, "You see the smile on my face is only there trying to fool the public," meaning that you have
Wow.
to keep on being an actor all day long, even until pretty much all day, because you're constantly in principal mode. And
Yeah.
then resistant was that last one. What do I do when issues arise? I'm under pressure. What do I do? Do I fold?
Mm.
Do I just take it? So for legislation, I think just creating policies to just provide more support, more PD for all staff, and safe spaces for leaders of color to come without that fear of retribution and not having to feel like they're plotting or something like that. Like, let's just have some
Yeah.
open, honest dialogue, and places where people can share what's really going on with them and say, hey, this is what we're struggling with. This is what we need to do. This is what's not happening, without having to worry about, well, you said that, now you get demoted to assistant principal or now you're just getting taken out of the game completely, or now there's a target on your back, you have to constantly be in fear. So it's just more professional development, more trainings, but genuine, authentic trainings that are intentional. So we think about inclusion, and the word inclusion means nothing if it's not intentional. It's easy to say, well, look, we got a black principal. But if that black principle isn't included and it's not an intentional and deliberate act to include that black principle, then you're just checking off the box. So I say more PD, more opportunities, grow your own programs, and just making sure that supports are available for leaders of color. Otherwise, they're going to continue to vanish because it's easy to just say, you know what, I'm done with this. Very,
Mhm.
very easy.
That's good.
And I think I've really appreciated, Kyron, how you've kind of zoomed in and out, right? You really focused in on
Mhm.
four leaders in order to kind of learn about how it could inform a larger system. And that's exactly why we wanted to come and speak with you, right? So,
Mhm.
thinking about, you've explored a little bit about some of the barriers and kind of oppressive systems that educators of color face that you interviewed and that you yourself have
Mhm.
experienced. I'm wondering about kind of what does it look like when it's successful? So you talked about a little bit about some strategies that districts or a state could take or a school could take around
Mhm.
highlighting the important roles of educators and leaders of color. Did any of your principals highlight this is what it looks like and feels like when it's working well?
Yeah, so that goes back to Yosso's framework, and the top two that had the highest response was social and familial. When you have family support, when you have other people that you can lean on, when you're principals of color that can have a network of other principals to reach out to, they
Oh,
talked about
okay.
the importance of mentorship, having someone you can lean on that you can call, the importance of family, having someone, and family isn't just sanguine. Family could be anyone, doesn't have to be blood related. Having people that you know support you, having parents that'll say, "No, nah, I know for a fact Dr. Cadogan didn't do that. He's been an excellent principal. He supports all the kids." Having
Good.
people that you know are really in your corner, was a major thing. Also aspirational, growing up and seeing people that were in these roles of leadership and people that were encouraging you that this is the route to take. And that you already had it in your mind. I aspire to want to do this. I was in high school. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a principal. So I think those three assets were the main things that popped up, and just success. That's what success looks like. When you know people are in your corner, when you know people want to see you win. I think that's the biggest thing. When you don't
Yeah.
feel like that target's on your back, when you could just go to work and focus in on, I'm here for the kids, for the staff, it's going to be a good day. Now you're going to work dreading going to work. Many principals are going to work like, oh, there are principals that are praying for snow days. That's sad. We
Yes.
should be praying that we don't have to go to work.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be. We've missed so many days already. I mean, it's
Yes.
sad, but there are principals that are just like, "Oh, I hope it's a snow day." And it might be
Yes.
May, and they're still hoping
Yep.
for a snow day. It's just like we want any reason to not go to school because you're constantly feeling like, "What am I going to have to
Mhm.
deal with today?" So I
Yeah.
think just knowing that there are people there that support you, that familiar, that could be the community, that could be churches rallying around, that could be individuals from
It's
sororities and
good.
fraternities coming to the school to work your kids. Knowing that you have support, I think is the most important thing. People can reach out to, mentorship, and just knowing that people want to see you win. I think the main thing within this is we know the ultimate people don't want to see us win. They are looking for a reason for us to fail. So they say, "See, we gave them opportunity. Look what they did.
That's
See, we
good.
gave them an opportunity."
That's
And I think
good.
it extends past just education. Look at the
Yeah.
University of Michigan, what's currently going on.
Yeah.
Look at Sharon Moore. We gave him
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
When are we going to see another black head coach of Michigan?
Yeah.
Not in our lifetime. Look at
Yeah.
Mel Tucker at our school.
Yeah.
Look, see, we gave him opportunity. Look what they did.
Yeah.
When are we going to see a black head coach? We're not in our lifetime. So
Mm-mm.
the pressure is there. So I think we constantly have that pressure, and what one of us does impacts all of us. So none of us
Yeah.
are connected with these individuals, but because of what they did as leaders, and so it's going beyond education. People are looking at us. They're
Yeah.
probably that way too. Yeah, look at Dr. Harvell. Yeah, he's walking around. Look at Dr. Cadogan. He's all happy all
Yeah.
the time and smiling, but
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
he really like? But others don't have to
Absolutely.
worry about that.
Absolutely.
So it
Absolutely.
extends so much further than education with us. So I think that just that support and just feeling like people are there for you, want to see you win.
That's
That's
good.
what success looks like. Because that's
Mhm.
Well,
going to change your psyche and change how you go into the workplace.
that's good. Coach, one of the reasons why we wanted to kind of focus on I want to say scholars who did this program is because the program that we went to, big shout out to MSU's
Yes, agreeing.
Dell, is because the vision is practitioner scholars, Too often, some of the scholars that we engage with come up with frameworks, and those frameworks are often divorced from the practice. They're really good to think about, but they really have no wheels or legs to run with when we get into the actual field. Um, that being the case, you are a practitioner scholar. And so one of the questions, and probably getting close to the end here, but one of the questions that we have for you is, how has your work as a scholar influenced your role as a high school principal? Especially, I'm sure as a high school principal, you've got APs, you've got teachers of color, you work with students of color and parents of color. Maybe talk a little bit about that. Um,
I
yeah.
think one of the best things about the Dale program is that it really prepared us at a macro level in terms of how to do this work as a practitioner. I love the program, not just saying it because we all went through it. It really,
Hmm.
really, that focus on equity, that focus on tailoring interventions to meet the needs of your population, the focus on just it being intentionally inclusive of others, I think was one of the biggest things about the Dale program. As a practitioner, for me, it's been beneficial being at Romulus and specifically, we're at 90% African American students.
Mm.
However, we only have 3 Black teachers and
Wow.
myself. So there's still that, that we're still not represented. So when
Yeah.
I go in, I know that I need to show our students what it is to be a man of color, what it
Hmm.
is to come from Flint, what it is to still be able to be successful, what it
Hmm.
is to model the appropriate behaviors. Our families, they are counting on me. They're looking at me like, hey, I need you. Hey, I recognize I'm the father for many of these children, whether I want to be or not.
Hmm.
I recognize I'm probably the only positive male, Black male they're going to see throughout their day. So when I go in, I'm talking to them about leadership. I'm talking to them about next steps. What do you want to do? I'm talking to them about how their decisions they're making now are going to impact the rest of their life. I'm talking to them about how important their achievement is. We are at the bottom 5% at my school. We are on the partnership. We're at the partnership agreement. We have been struggling for a while. But what I tell them is we're not looking back. We're just moving forward. So I don't want us to get stuck in that. Let's go back to what's happened. We're already failing. I just stay positive. I talk to them about what's to come. They have a lot of life ahead. I talk with our families about how can I be supportive of them? What can they do at home to support their kids? I started the PTO here. We didn't have a PTO in Romulus
Wow.
for 10 years. I started the PTO here. I came in, people were like, oh, you're not going to be a starter. Our families aren't involved. It's always a thing. Our families. But our families aren't involved because we don't include them. We don't go knock on doors. We don't call them. We don't make people feel involved. We read in the media and
Mm.
throw up all these terms, these IEP, 504, LER, OPP, yeah, you know me. We're throwing up all these different terms, and parents are like, oh, okay, I'll sign it. They don't even know. But when you make people feel included, they're more willing to work with you. So for me as a practitioner, it's critical to go in and make sure that we are providing diverse curriculum, that
Mm.
we're exploring and allowing them to see opportunities. I take them on culture enriched field trips. Many of our kids have not been to college. I took my kids to Henry Ford Community College, where I'm a professor. My brother is also. Some of the kids, that's the best trip they've ever been on in their life. Some of the kids said they had never left Romulus. Like that's
Wow.
amazing. You're 17 years old. You've never left Romulus. They couldn't believe it. I
Wow.
showed them where the Lions play. They're like, wait, you mean the Detroit Lions, the real Lions? They didn't know. So it's just that exposure is so critical. And for me, I lead through grace. This is one of my acronyms. My professor, Dr. Robbie Stewart, who was a professor at MSU, gave this to me. And I've always talked with them about grace. Grace stands for genuineness, rapport, active listening, competence, and empathy. And the two most
Mm.
important aspects of that is rapport and empathy. So all the research supports the notion that rapport or relationships is the most important asset in terms of principal, student, principal, teacher, whoever it might be. Rapport is what's going to get you over. And then there's that empathy, which is understanding, not acceptance. Put yourself in someone else's shoes, not act like you're better than them. And I talk to the kids all the time about relationships, build your network, and I just have empathy for them. I don't see them as these are the poor Black and brown kids. We're struggling in school. Oh boy, here we go again. No, they need opportunities. We don't provide people opportunities. What do we expect? So those are some of the key things I got from the DEAL program, just that macro approach and not just solely focusing in on, oh, the kids are failing. Oh no. Well, let's spend all this time. No, okay, they're failing. But why are they failing? I provide them more opportunities for clubs, organizations. We have a debate club now. We have a podcast club at the school. I take in
Let's
student
go.
voice. What do you guys want to do? Dr. Harvell want to have a lock-in. Okay, cool. When do you want to do it? You mean we really have one? No other principals let us have one. You have to build relationships with people. You have to have empathy for them and don't see people as victims. So, Dr. Dweck talked about that growth mindset versus deficit mindset. I talk to kids all the time about having a growth mindset. Like, we got to stop letting people as victims and saying what they can and can't do. We had a situation on Thursday where our school is. There's a gas station across the street. ICE agents were at the gas station waiting. So I
Wow.
made sure to get my kids out.
Wow.
They were there waiting, and our kids walk past that gas station to go to this apartment complex, similar to a Lansing. Well, I compare a Lansing, like a Waverly Park or something, where it's like one of the more
Hmm.
popular ones.
Hmm.
They're out there waiting for our kids. So, like you mentioned, Dr. We're just politically and just socially what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
So after that, unfortunately, yesterday the kids didn't come to school. Now I don't know if
Wow.
I'm sure they're probably afraid. Hopefully, ICE didn't go to their house. But there's so much stuff. I'm talking about real world stuff. I'm talking about what's happening in society. I think we need to do that. So education is so much deeper than just math. We need to have culturally competent state standards versus just this regular,
Wow. I love it.
curriculum standards. So culturally competent state standards, that should be the CCS, culturally competent state standards. That should be
There you
CCSS.
go.
Instead of Common Core, it should be culturally competent. That's what we need to focus on. Forget Common Core. Let's do culturally competent. And again, it benefits
My
everyone,
gosh.
not just Black and brown students. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
I
And
love it.
you really live into that. We've been
Yes.
fortunate to know you as a friend and a colleague for a while, and so aligned with how you show up each and
Thank
every
you.
day. So thinking about if I am a school leader, district leader, state leader, can you paint a picture of what would schools be like if they implemented the findings that you really uncovered from your work? So you've talked a little bit about how you've enacted them. What
Mm-hmm.
would it look like if elementary, middle, high, you've been all those principals.
Mm-hmm.
What would they look like if they took your findings to heart?
Really easy. Schools will look like places the kids want to be and not places they have to go. That's what it is. We have to create an environment where kids want to come to school. Kids should want to come to school just as much as they want to go see Kendrick Lamar. And we can do it.
Come on.
If we're serious and if
That's
we're
good.
intentional and if we provide a welcoming, inclusive environment, if we're excited about the work, if we're not just there to get a check. I've heard teachers say things like, oh, I can't wait till the summer so I don't have to work. Or I can't wait till 3 o'clock. And the kids see us beating them out the door. Before they get in the bus, they see their teachers be out the parking lot. When schools are places that kids want to be and they don't have to be, that's where we're going to see success. Right now, they're not places they want to be. That's why we look at the attendance rates across the country. It's not just a Michigan thing. Look at the attendance rates. Look at how much we are unable to maximize instructional time because of attendance rates.
Mhm.
Due to various reasons, whether it's transportation, whether there's barriers at home, whether there's I don't have clean clothes at home, where there's just a sense of apathy. But when schools are places that kids want to be and that families want to be, when families trust schools, when families are like, nope, you're getting up, you're going to school. I don't care you're tired, you're going. When schools are places that their kids want to be and don't have to be, that's when we'll see success. Until we get there, it's going to continue to be a struggle.
Wow. I
Wow.
love it. I love it.
Drop
Mic
the mic
drop.
right there.
All right. Dr. Harvell, I think a good way to close, and I don't know that we kind of tuned you up for this one. Practitioner scholar is who we have on the show routinely.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the expectation that if you're a practitioner scholar, you are reading stuff. So I'm wondering if you might be able to go ahead and leave the people with some um, work that they can get into as far as text. I know many of us don't have access to ProQuest.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably can't just go online and get an article, but we can go to a library. Is there any research work that you want to get us hip to so that we can join you on your path to liberating students and communities?
Yes. The first one, shout out to Michigan State University, Dr. Terry Vincent Chambers. They show
Hey,
opportunity cost. This is a phenomenal
hey,
book. She conducts, I believe, 11 years of research in Chicago public
hey.
schools, and she goes and really understands the true lived experiences of these children that are in the schools. And the book is raw, it's unfiltered. I've encouraged my colleagues to read it. It is amazing because it's just so real. It's not all of this academic jargon and you constantly have to refer to all these references and this person said that. No, it's the real lived experiences of the kids. I encourage everyone go on Amazon, get Racial Opportunity Cost, Dr. Vincent Chambers. Extremely positive book. Dr. Uh, Aaron Johnson has a book, Take a Walk, I think it's called Take a Walk in Their Shoes. And again, he's going in, getting the narratives of the kids. I think that's so important and so powerful. We can do all this research and all this studying, but until we really talk with the kids to see what their experiences is like, we're just kind of, we're not going to gain traction. So books,
Mm.
so I just say Dr. Aaron Johnson's book as well as Dr. Vincent Chambers. That would definitely be my first one. Dr. Vincent Chambers, Racial Opportunity, because I've read it twice already. It's that powerful. It's a good read. And when you start reading these stories of the kids, it's just gonna hit you. And it just makes you think like, wow, there's so much more we could and should be doing. And there's so much training and just information that needs to be shared with others about these experiences because their experiences again are going to determine how they're going to feel academically, behaviorally, and what their future looks like. If I don't feel welcomed, if I walk in and you're already thinking I'm a thug because I have a hat on and some beats, or because I got a hood on, or maybe my pants aren't creased and up on my waist, then if you already had a perception of me, you don't want to teach me.
All right. Hey, look, this has been a honor and privilege to be able to sit down with you. Lisa, before we close, you have any closing remarks or questions for Dr. Harvell?
I think ending with schools need to be places where kids want to be, right?
Oh,
Creating those conditions for kids to want to get there. We know any kid in our life who wants
that's good.
something, they will be persistent and make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the kids, make it a place they want to be. I know you're doing that every day.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
for
I
your
know you guys are as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, hey friends, so thank you for joining us on the Coffee with the Doctors, where practitioners, scholars help us rethink what education can be. We'll see you next time for another conversation at the intersection of research, leadership, practice. Goodbye.
Go
Thanks,
green.
everybody.
Go
Go
White.
White.